First, we need to grab the supplies, our reference photos, my ruler. This is a very time-consuming part of the process. I just want to get as much done possible, so hopefully I can start laying some paint on there. The fun part, I think it will help if I play some music. Oh, it's stuck in my hair. We want to feel safe, to do things that we know will work. We want a finished sketchbook full of beautiful paintings as soon as we complete the first page. We like to dip our toes in the water before diving in, so I'll be the first to admit that it doesn't feel good doing the opposite. To do what's complicated, slow, or not very glamorous before the fun stuff. But what if you made big investments up front in your creative work, building a foundation that could carry you through the rest of a project with ease? Because that's exactly what an underdrawing does for me. And if I finally want to get to painting next week, then I only have a few days to finish, despite this being one of the most time-consuming parts of my process. But if I have an accurate underdrawing, blocking in the colors next will be quick and easy. I quickly realized my setup was not efficient, as I kept moving around to grab a different ruler or see my reference, so I took a moment to improve things, and put my tools within reach. Every time I start a new piece, my systems get a little bit better, so maybe one day I'll actually know what I'm doing.
Hello?
Art is usually associated with beauty and intuition, maybe even an easy, relaxing activity. But it also comes from the world of craftsmanship, with a history of techniques behind it. As an artist, you're building actual things, objects that take up space and might exist long after you do. And anything of that nature is likely going to require some routine steps and a process, but that investment only increases the satisfaction. So close. Could just make a paper one that's a little bigger.
I have an idea.
I tend to use whatever is around me to solve problems. Even a dish from under my plants can 100% become the template for a stencil. In this case, I needed an accuracy my usual method didn't quite have. And doing this, no matter how silly it looked, allowed me to paint freely later without needing to fix perspective issues. I had to make some adjustments along the way, but it worked out in the end. Making anything requires us to push stuff around. An inch that way, a little darker here, or a bit rounder over there. It's a never-ending loop. This practice of pushing and pulling on every scale is what brings our visions to life. I wish I could tell you that on this Tuesday, I was perfectly ready to work and motivated, and I have everything else done that I need to, but I don't. I need to finish laundry, clean up the studio. It gets messy like every 5 seconds, but such is life. Starting a painting or creative work does not always feel magical, and expecting it to is the fastest way to becoming disappointed and procrastinating. Some portions of the process, like ideation, will feel natural, but to get ideas out on the page might be more like pulling teeth. When I keep this in mind, though, I can start to find joy even in that friction, or at least know it's coming. I've realized that I don't have to feel like creating to actually sit down and create. Seeing my art as a practice, something physical and gritty that ties me to what's real, has been more helpful than waiting for perfection or a sense of ease. So even on the days where all I do is slide around a ruler and make tiny dots, I know that I'm moving forward to something bigger than this challenge. Snack time! So happy I got these little buildings done. Feels really satisfying when you make a good chunk of progress. I told myself I would never film us making food, but
Someone looks more hungry. You ate already.
so there's good progress there. If there's something that you've wanted to attempt but didn't seem quite worth it, like stretching your own canvas, framing a piece you made, or learning that new medium, then this is the time to do it, because it's only going to bring you more knowledge, skills, and experience down the line. If you invest your energy up front, good work will come. What we put into our practice is what we will get out of it, and those scary new things or complicated experiments that feel messy are exactly the direction to move towards. I know it won't be pretty, and at times you'll question what you're doing and want to go back to bed. But I promise that you won't regret trying, and many solutions will break through that noise.
Okay,
There's so many little shadows on this picture that I'm gonna put tracing paper on top of it and draw out the ones that I'm using for the underdrawing so that I'm not looking at so much information. I just ripped it. Okay, it's fine. We're just gonna roll with it. Now I'm gonna need some light. We're gonna use the window. Raise your hand if you've done this at some point. And I'm gonna go blind. Oh my gosh, I can't see anything. Please excuse my sensitive eyeballs. I'm only outlining the darkest shapes. That's the ones that I care about the most. I think if I wasn't staring at the sun, I would do this a little more carefully, but I happen to be staring at the sun. Why did I think this was a good idea? I took the thing I traced and I scanned it, and I'm gonna multiply it by like 385% and then print it, cut out the shapes and trace them on there. And I think that'll save me like a lot of time. This is so cool. It's like a puzzle. Now I just have to figure out which page goes where. Oh, close enough. This is taking a while. I could have just eyeballed it, but I already know I'm gonna do that with a lot of the highlights and midtones. So I think by having the darkest shadows in the right shapes and places, I'll have a good reference to work off of. So this is worth it. I need to change my attitude. I was feeling pretty moody. If I clean up my desk, drink some coffee, I will feel a little better. Sometimes I get overwhelmed with thinking that there's a right way to do things, but honestly, when you're at the start of any journey and you're figuring out how to solve problems, experimentation is part of it.
This is way more fun than it looks, trust me. If you haven't cut out tiny bits of paper before, you're missing out. I like to think of it as another form of therapy, or in this case, the only form of my therapy.
Está pintando muy bonito, ¿no? Ahí va. Híjole.
I got to the point where I'm not sure what level of detail I want to do with the underdrawing and the shapes, so I'm going to refer back to this sketch and see what I thought was most important. The light dark line here and in the pants, and then a little bit of shaping probably in the face. Not too much else. I can't see. I have a little problem solving I want to show you. So every time I line up my ruler to measure something, I have to line up that bottom line with the edge of the canvas every time, because if I do it to the easel, it doesn't match. And I only realized just now that if I put this little wooden piece there, it's just half of a wooden stick taped down, it lines up perfect. Now I can just kind of set the ruler down and I know it'll be accurate. Freehanding this is way more fun than measuring stuff out, because I have something to like use as context for where stuff goes.
To tell you the truth, I almost didn't want to share this video or part of my process in general. I told myself the underdrawing is boring and might seem unnecessary to others, but I changed my mind, and I'm glad that I did because it's an important step in my practice. And I don't think something has to be pretty or easy to be absolutely wonderful and useful. We all have different strengths, and when we make the most out of our own way of doing things, no problem will be too big to solve.
Was a little stressed out this morning. I still had drawing left to do. Powered through it, found a point where I can say that's good enough. Any other drawing bits, I think I'll just do freehand. I'm happy with where that's at. More progress next week, starting to tone the canvas.
I did finish the block-in of this painting recently, which you will get to see if you join me next time.